I just got a shipment in of some herbal tinctures that I've ordered from Herbalist and Alchemist, and I thought it might be fun just to show you what I've ordered. These herbs that I ordered are really for just my own personal use. Now, as a clinical herbalist, when I'm working with my clients, I put together formulas, but I have a dispensary or like an herbal apothecary that I send that formula to, and then they create it and send it and ship it to my clients. And mainly because as a clinical herbalist and functional nutrition practitioner working with clients, it would just be like really time consuming for me to grow and to tincture all of the different herbs that I use. I use probably well over 100 dozens of different herbs in clinical practice with clients. And so these are really just for my own personal use, but I still thought it might be fun to show you what I ordered and what I'm using right now. So this is not everything I'm using, but a couple of things that I needed. And it's a big box. So let me see if I can show you here. I have my oven right here. So I'm not sure if I can move back any further, but dig through these peanuts and see what we have. A couple of tinctures in here. Um, Smaller ones. I know there's a couple bigger ones. Wow. Let's see. Oh, maybe. Dig right in here. Oh, we're probably gonna have peanuts all over the floor. Ooh. Oh, okay. A couple of tinctures in here that I want to show you. I think that's all I had. Okay, I think that's it. Let me open these up and I'll show you. Let me grab some scissors really. My kitchen drawer. They came really well wrapped. And actually, what happened is I got this order about a week ago, and the UPS driver knocked on my door when he was delivering them. And I'm really glad I opened it. Sometimes you're busy or you're not home when they get there. And he had started to walk away, but I opened the door and he came back and he said, "This box is damaged." Like it was all wet. And somehow one of the bottles must have gotten damaged during shipment. He let me check it, and sure enough, so I sent it back, and they quickly replaced it and sent me the new bottles. So I'm really grateful. This company, Herbalist and Alchemist, is the company that's owned by and founded by David Winston, who is my herbal teacher and professor, and such an amazing, knowledgeable herbalist in our time. And so, love Herbalist and Alchemist products. Think they're really high quality herbal products, and use them a lot with my clients as well. And some of their formulas and things that I recommend to clients. But let me show you here what I ordered. So this first one is reishi mushroom, one of probably my favorite herbs. I know for many herbalists, reishi mushroom is really a valuable herb to use. It is an herb that is called the mushroom of vitality in Chinese medicine, has been in use for thousands of years. And it is an adaptogen, so it's going to help kind of regulate that stress response. It's an immunoregulator, meaning it will help balance the immune system. So, really lovely for people who have any kind of immune dysregulation, which could be like getting colds and flus frequently, or allergies, or the autoimmune conditions. I have Hashimoto's. And so that's one reason why I use reishi mushroom. It's a really lovely kind of warming tonic herb for longevity, and just one that a lot of people could benefit with. It's an adaptogen, so it's going to help with energy and kind of stress regulation, but it's also fairly calming. Like you can use this if you're not sleeping well, which is actually something that I kind of have to watch. I don't always sleep well, especially if I'm not really managing my stress and kind of my day and getting exercise and doing all the right things. I noticed that it will affect my sleep. And so reishi is one of my favorites for that reason. But so is unprocessed Romania. I don't know if you can read that. I don't know why everything's fuzzy, but oh well. Hopefully, you can see it and I'll put the name on the screen. But unprocessed Romania is also an herb we know from traditional Chinese medicine. And so this has been in use for, thousands of years as a medicinal herb. And you can get processed Romania, which is when they take the Romania root and they put it through, traditionally, they would put it through 9 cycles of processing with, I think it was like immersion and steaming in like rice wine and then drying it out. And then we continue that for 9 cycles. And so really lovely for like kind of kidney yin deficiency type patterns, which could look like ringing in the ears, vertigo, could be trouble sleeping as well. But processed Rehmannia, or excuse me, unprocessed Rehmannia, which in Chinese medicine is Sheng Di Wang. And again, always apologize for my Chinese pronunciation, but I do love this herb because really why I like to use this is that it's a nourishing yin tonic. And a yin tonic is wonderful for women like myself who are probably kind of midlife, kind of dealing with that yin deficiency pattern that can look like dry skin. Maybe sometimes I get a little, even just patterns of dryness. That's kind of part of my constitution. If you're familiar with like Ayurvedic traditional medicine, that really looks at how our constitution is based on different elements, right? I'm a Vata type, and Vata types are wind and ether, in which is kind of just emptiness or air. And so I tend to have a pattern of being very dry, and that's just been a kind of a lifelong pattern. Also, again, with Hashimoto's, immune issues tend to create more of a pattern of dryness. And so this is good for really any kind of yin deficiency that will often show up as dryness or trouble sleeping, which can be more related to like a heart fire type of pattern. And so dry mouth, dry eyes, trouble sleeping, irritability, sort of fit that pattern. I hope maybe not too much irritability, but I might hear something different from my kids if I ask them their opinion on that. But yeah, just a nice moistening yin tonic, really lovely for women kind of midlife. And yes, I'm 46. I always get asked about my age. No one thinks I'm really that age. So I'll just throw it out there before we get questions. But let me show you what else I've got here. A couple of smaller bottles. And this one is called Energy Adapt. So this is a blend from Herbalist and Alchemist, a blend of adaptogens. And it has some gochu kola, which, oh, is an herb I love. It's not an adaptogen, but it is a nootropic. And it's also an immunoregulatory herb. So it is going to help kind of cool that heart fire, any kind of inflammation. I use this a lot for clients with brain inflammation type patterns or gut inflammation. It can help cool out that inflamed gut lining. And this one has some maca, which is really lovely for hormone balance, as well as red ginseng, which is really our most kind of energizing and warming of the adaptogens. So as someone with a thyroid issue, I tend to be cold. I tend to need a little energy. And so I love red ginseng for this. It can be a little too much for some people, but it also has rhodiola, which I also talk about being a bit stimulating. So I really only use these herbs for people who are really kind of showing patterns of deficient and low energy and need some warming and stimulating. And honestly, I've kind of been feeling that way a little bit lately. So that's why I wanted to try this Energy Adapt. I actually haven't used this formula before. It also has holy basil, another adaptogen I love, a bit less stimulating. I think of holy basil as being more kind of energizing without being stimulating. You know how coffee can kind of give you energy, but for some people it's too stimulating and you might even get things like heart palpitations and whatnot and trouble sleeping. But holy basil is a nice kind of middle of the ground, middle of the road adaptogen that's kind of nice and energizing without the overstimulation that you'll get from like coffee or even maybe red ginseng or rhodiola if you're a bit on the sensitive side and already overstimulated. In that case, you might do better with more calming adaptogens like reishi mushroom. But this is where the beauty of formulating an herbal tincture for my clients, I can actually combine herbs in ways that are really personalized to their specific symptoms or situation and their energetic patterns. And I can balance that out in formulas using these herbs and synergistic formulas so that it's not too stimulating or kind of overstimulating. One last thing that I ordered this time. So this is Insight Compound from Herbalist and Alchemist. Trying to see if I can. There we go. And just wanted to try this. I actually haven't tried this one either. It has extracts of blueberry juice concentrate, some ginkgo leaf, lycium fruit, and chrysanthemum flowers. So, yeah, really beautiful. Some fruits in there and flowers that are really high in antioxidants, basically. They're going to be really good for your eyes. That's why it's called Insight Compound. It's kind of formulated for eye health. And sometimes just working on the computer and, I don't know, just working and being busy, my eyes can definitely get a little tired. And just the idea that as well, all of these antioxidants are going to be really lovely for whole body health, really, right? And so I just wanted to try this Insight Compound and maybe share it with a friend I have that has some vision issues and eye issues that she's always working support. I made her a lovely tea for her eyes before. And so, yeah, I'd be willing to share this with my friend. But those are the herbs that I've ordered this time, and I have some others on hand. So I'll be creating my own herbal tincture. Then I just take a tincture bottle like this, and I just ran out actually of my herbal tincture. And I create formulas by adding these herbs in different parts. I have a little measuring cup that's, course graduated, and I can measure out in parts these herbs and fill up this little, it's like a 2 ounce, I think, bottle, and then I take a dropper full of that in a little bit of water every day, usually with every meal. I just take my tinctures with each meal, and it depends on what you're, kind of what you're working with and what you're wanting to focus on. But as you can see right now, really, I just do a lot of like adaptogens and things for like energy and immune health, and really taking your herbs regularly, right? Like 3 times a day is going to be best because a lot of people underdose on the herbs they're using. So you might be taking some really great herbs, but if you're not using them often enough or in a high enough dose, you're not really going to see a lot of shifts. So I hope this was helpful to maybe kind of just peek behind the curtain, get to see my kitchen and see how I'm using some herbs in my own life. So I will see you next time where we'll be talking more about herbs for energy, mood, brain health, and longevity.